guest, but more so a friend of the radio station, Chief Michael Mansour. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you doing?
You're gonna have to get closer to that mic.
Have to get close.
Mike's got to get closer. All right, let's do a little bio intro. Okay.
Oh, wonderful.
Good, thank you. Chief Mansour began his law enforcement career at Floyd County Police Department, Rome, Georgia. He worked as a patrol officer for 1.5 years. I got a story to tell you about that too.
Okay.
Chief Mansour left Rome to continue college at West Georgia College, and was hired by the West Georgia Department of Public Safety as the DUI officer on a state grant. He made a record number of DUI arrests while serving in this capacity. In 1985, he became a Carrollton police officer. So you were loved by the students there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
As the Carrollton Police Department, Chief Mansour was promoted through the ranks, finally achieving the rank of captain, but he was selected, and I remember this very well, as the first DARE officer to work in any school in Carroll County and served as a DARE officer for 10 years. That's a long time. He was promoted then to the rank of sergeant over traffic until 1991, when he was promoted to captain over criminal investigations. He served in this capacity in 2004 and was transferred to the position of captain over the patrol division. In the fall of 2005, after working for the Carrollton Police Department for 20 years, Chief Mansour joined the Villa Rica Police Department as chief and became a big supporter of community policing, very active in the community. He taught during this time for 15 years at UWG on topics such as domestic violence, criminal investigations, and crime prevention. Are you still teaching?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Received a BS from West Georgia College in Sociology in 86, completed his MPA, I guess that's Master's Public Administration, in Police Sciences at Columbus State University in 1999. He's a 2000 graduate of Georgia Association of Police Command, Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police Command College. And then the Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police named him the Outstanding Chief of the Year in 2021 for his contributions to the department, to the organization, and state law enforcement. And finally, he's also been very active in touching many hundreds of lives of citizens through Shop with a Cop program and an elderly outreach program, ladies self-defense classes. We're going to talk about some of this. Citizen handgun classes, Citizens Academy, team-based driver education, and summer youth academy. How about that?
How about that?
Yeah, congratulations.
Sounds good on paper, doesn't it?
Well, no, I mean, it really is. That's a lifetime of work and achievement, and you should be very grateful, and we honor you for all that.
Well, I appreciate that.
I want to.
If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Right, but you don't necessarily love it every day.
I love it. I just don't. I don't like it sometimes. I love it every day. I just don't like it every day.
We may just stay on that same theme for the rest of the
time. I was afraid of
that. I want to start off. Obviously, we're going to focus primarily on Villa Rica, but there's one thing that's always struck me since I've been here, and you and I have been here about as long. When I came down from Rome too, and I remember at the time there was an escapee from the Floyd County Jail. I think it was the sheriff at the time. I can't remember his name, and he said, "Graddick, come with me." And so we got in the car. We went looking for the escapee. He was shining that spotlight on everybody. We never found him, but it was like, this is very interesting.
Oh, yeah. Get your attention.
It did. Well, something that has always had my attention is I-20. Mm-hmm. And that goes right through Villa Rica. And it just seems like, every time I go from Villa Rica to Temple on the right, there's that little memorial about Robbie Bishop.
Right.
And which I think the anniversary is coming up this Monday. It's the 20th. When I was chasing stories, I was at the Higgins emergency room when I think it was Chief Dean brought Robbie's wife to the emergency room, and from there Robbie went to Floyd. But I'll never forget that really kind of surreal type moment. But if you could because I know that presents a real challenge for law enforcement when I think about the Mitch Mobley shooting. Mm-hmm. And And I think, there used to be a bank in Waco, First National Bank, but they had so many robberies they closed it down. So what's your perspective on Interstate 20 going through and all the drugs? We talk about Robbie Bishop. How do you deal with that? Because that ain't small town policing. That's big time international stuff.
Well, I mean, I-20 is a good thing and a bad thing, if you know what I mean. We have a lot of commerce in and out because of the interstate. We have, more places to eat and things like that because of the interstate. So there's a lot of good that comes with it. But just like what you said, there is a lot of bad that comes with it, because we found that a lot of our major crimes, like the robberies and the home invasions and the things like that, were from people out of town coming to us because they just come down I-20, get off, do it, and take off.
And that's their thinking that I can escape in no time.
And nobody will ever know who we are. And even when we put their faces on Facebook or whatever, nobody knows them because they're not local.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the flock camera has helped us so much in that aspect, because the flock cameras are all over the city now, but they're also in other cities and other counties all over the country. And so we can get a description of a car and put it on flock, and we can find that car and get a tag number and get information that way. And that has been one of our best tools to help catch criminals that aren't local.
Are y'all still running a interstate enforcement type unit?
We don't have an interdiction team. We still have guys get out and run laser out there, things like that. Do a little traffic, but not like before. I don't know if you remember, but when I came to Villa Rica, we were under a DOJ consent decree because we had a crew that were drug interdictions.
Yeah, profiling.
That were
Allegedly.
Being accused of profiling.
Yeah.
Obviously, the department never admitted it, but we went under that consent decree. It was before I was there. And when I got there, we had to put things in order to make sure we got out from under that. And we got out from under it in record time. No other agency had gotten out from under it as quick as we did.
But I remember, because that was one reason Robbie Bishop was so famous, is that, and it was really kind of interesting, you can see a vehicle going down the interstate and it's too low to the ground or whatever. And you really get indications that there's something wrong with that vehicle, right?
Well, there's different. Hey, if you know what you're doing, you've got to know what you're doing. Robbie was the best I've ever heard of or ever seen in being able to tell that, they got a little dope in the car, but that one's going to have a lot of dope in their car or truck or whatever. He was just so good at it. Most people don't have that ability. And so it was where there was some guys there that may not have been as good as him, that may have took some shortcuts and ended up, putting us in a bad spot. And I've had people that were doing interdiction for us, just never had anybody that was anywhere close to what Robbie could do.
Kind of staying on that same theme before we go to break. And we've done several programs on gangs in Carroll County. What's the status of, again, the interstate, the metro Atlanta coming out this way, particularly with gangs?
We have found that they definitely do come to our area out of Douglas County, out of Cobb County, out of Atlanta, and they do crimes here. The Mobley murder, was a group out of, I think, DeKalb or somewhere like that. So definitely we have that issue. We have, some gang activity in Villa Rica. It's not rampant or, widespread, but we do. If somebody tells you they don't, they're lying. But we're pretty good about keeping up with things, and we have people that let us know things that are going on, and we've been able to make arrests and things like that based on that. So having the public's help is so important.
Is that as time goes on in Villa Rica, because you've been there a while now? Is it going up or going down, or is Villa Rica, the sense of community, becoming less or greater?
Ask me that one more time.
Yeah, it's a sense of community in Villa Rica because it's obviously growing. We got more apartments. Are we losing a sense of community in Villa Rica, particularly in terms of law enforcement?
Well, I can't say that we're losing the sense of community. Obviously, as you grow, you have more people, you have more apartments. Those folks are a little bit harder to get to know at first because they're just moving into the area. But as far as support from the community, it's unbelievable.
Okay.
We have so much support where they bring us food all the time. They bring us stuff all the time. They're just fantastic to us. We did a fundraiser where we needed those rifle vests for our officers, and we got more money than we needed to do it. I mean, people just basically threw money at us, and it's just, that shows you they love their police department. They love our officers. And part of that is being community oriented and being there to show them that, hey, we're going to work with you, we're going to help you, we're going to help keep you safe, those kinds of things. So yeah, I think we still have that, but the bigger you get, obviously, the harder it is.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. I got a lot more questions, and I know he'll be delighted to address plenty of them. Chief Michael Mansour, but first, these words.
The World Language Scholar Journey at Oak Mountain Academy is designed to provide students with a clearly defined, curriculum-based track to acquire essential knowledge and skills for success in biliteracy fields of study. The successful completion of this journey provides colleges with a method to recognize a rigorous foreign language immersion experience for all students at Oak Mountain Academy. I'm Patrick Uran, head of school, inviting you to journey with us on the mountain. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us. Discover your journey at OMA. Prepare, explore, and achieve.
Consider the Mobius strip. Take a strip of paper, twist it, connect the ends. This connection forms a continuous loop. Seamless, infinite. That's how your healthcare should be too. At Tanner Health, the Mobius is our symbol and our promise, representing our continuum of care and our commitment that the services you need will be here for you always. We're not just changing healthcare, we're redefining it. See more at tanner.org.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Community Voice. I'm Steve Graddick, your host. Delighted to have you with. We got a good friend of the radio station in studio. He comes by KISS 102.7 every first Tuesday of every month. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you've been doing that ever since Sari Rose came up with the idea.
That was when I first made chief.
Yeah.
So I've done that almost 20 years.
Right. And you and we pay you so much money to do that.
Man, but I got so much money already, I don't even cash those checks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my CPA says, what's wrong with that guy? She said, he's got so much money, you don't need to cash it. One thing that's dominated the headlines now for several years, and this is kind of still on the interstate kind of thought process, because the interstate connects us right to the city of Atlanta, and the city of Atlanta has got all kinds of, as every big city does. But we're now going to take a different approach to illegal immigration. Have you seen much of that come out to Villa Rica? It would be kind of the first question. Have you arrested? Have you had any encounters to speak of with any kind of crime from illegal immigrants?
We've not had a major problem with that. Obviously, we'll stop somebody for traffic stops and end up finding maybe a gun on them, things like that. And those kind of cases, if they are illegals, the ICE will get involved in and will deport those. But most of them are just regular traffic stops or DUIs or things like that. So we don't have a major crime wave with illegals in Villa Rica.
And you've worked well with ICE. There hadn't been any issues working with ICE?
We hadn't had any big issues with them at all.
Because I think the thought now is that if they mandate all this, then y'all will be required to hold them explain how that works. You're required to hold them for, I think, 48 hours, and then the ICE will take them from there. But you'll be required to hold them.
But that falls on the sheriff's department because
Okay.
we don't house prisoners at Villa Rica. We only will book them in and take them to Carroll County
So
Jail
you'll give
or
them
Douglas County Jail.
So you'll give them to Terry Langley and say, handle it.
Yes, and thankfully they do. Now, we pay for that. If we're housing somebody on our dime, then we do pay for that.
Right.
But Terry's been great and gracious and hadn't went up. And, as long as I've been around, we pay the same amount, so that's great.
Okay. One big issue that has, also dominated the headlines for quite a while is the recruitment and retention of officers. How are you doing with that in Villa Rica?
We went through a very tough spell where we lost several officers to other agencies because it was basically somebody offer them $1 more or 50 cents more, and then they'd go. Our mayor and council at the time were really responsive for us on that, and they allowed us to pay our officers more to keep our officers. We are one of the highest paid agencies, if not the highest paid agency in the county, but we also have great benefits. We take care of our people. We treat our people right. We have very good equipment. We've had nothing but support from our mayor and council over the years in that aspect, and that's been a huge thing. The other thing is the reputation of the Villa Rica Police Department is great now. When I first went there, if I would have asked some people to come with me from Carrollton, they would not have done it because we weren't where we need to be when I got there. But between my work and our work, because I've got a really good team that works with me, we have built a family atmosphere where we take care of our folks. We're like one officer down now, and we added 2 officers at the beginning of the year, positions. So we're really, we're staffed, but we do have one opening. Now, we went to where we had 10 or 12 openings at one time, and that's big for us.
Dangerous.
Because we're not huge.
Mm-hmm.
We have 55 sworn positions, so
that's a lot, though.
it's bigger than most people would think.
It is, yeah.
But you look at our population now, and we're blowing up.
What do you know what the population is now?
It's over 20,000
You're
right
kidding.
now. And they're saying that we may be at 30 within the next 3 to 5 years because of the growth that we're having. So yeah, we're blowing up.
When you think about hiring a new recruit, how would you describe the temperament, the personality? What are you looking for, experience level, for a new recruit?
Well, when I first went to Villa Rica, we had an application that was the same application as if we hired somebody to work at the dump or somebody to work at the trash place. And I'm not saying they're not important, but I went to my boss and I said, this application is not sufficient. And he said, why? Tell me why. And he said, I don't want to change the application. I want to have the application for everybody else the same. And I said, well, the problem with that is I give these guys a gun. And if I'm giving these guys a gun, I need to know a lot more about them. So if we're hiring somebody, I want to know everything I can about them. When we hire people, I meet everybody along with the command staff. We make sure that they have the right temperament by looking at their background. We interview former teachers. We interview neighbors. We interview anybody that has really had any kind of a relationship with them to make sure they've never seen this person lose their temper or beat somebody up. We look at their social media. We look at everything about them because we want to make sure they're right for the job. We have hired some that weren't tremendous and ended up having to let them go, but overall we've been very fortunate. Last year was the first year since I've been there that we didn't send anybody to the academy. Everybody we hired was certified from other agencies. And we hired from agencies that we had never hired from. We hired from Cobb County PD.
Really?
We hired from people from local agencies that would not have come here before.
Well,
usually.
in my little world, I mean, we're hearing more and more people want to get out of Metro and come out here. I mean,
exactly.
And a large part of it is for safety and security.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've mentioned that a couple times on this program, but it's just they want to come this way.
Yeah, well,
it's not the other way around.
And you walk in the door at some of these agencies, and you're 10 calls down already when you get there, and you're running nonstop. And with our agency, you're steady, but you're not wide open.
Yeah,
and that's a big thing. But they're changing training. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the academy, we were like last or next to last on training hours for officers, required training hours for an officer going to the academy. So we have doubled the time. We went from, I think it was 10 or 11 weeks to 21 weeks, starting in January. So now when we send somebody to the academy, they're gone 21 weeks. Think of the time, think of the money that we spend, because we're paying them to be there. We're paying for their meals, all that. And so the state requires an officer, if they're sent to the academy, to stay 2 years. That was on the old system. Well, now if we send somebody to the academy, we're going to require them to stay for 3 years. Because you want to be able to get your investment back.
Sure.
And we know agencies that are allowing them to go to the academy but not making them sign a contract, and they can leave whenever they want to, and they don't have to pay it back. We've had a couple left before the contract was over. We made them pay that money back.
Good. Before we go to our next break, now you were interim city manager for a little bit, weren't you?
Yes, sir, I was.
So you saw it from the other side. It's kind of a nightmarish situation.
I have a lot of respect for the person that does that job. We have a really good interim city manager right now, Diana. I think she's going to be fantastic. She really is one of the smartest people you'll meet. But she's also a good people person. She also cares about employees. So you don't
aspire to be a city manager?
Never. It was the worst 3 to 6 months of my life. I'll be honest with you. My wife did not like me.
All right, good. That'll be the quote we use on the news.
I figured.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with more with Chief Michael Mansour after this.
The Entrepreneur Scholar Journey at Oak Mountain Academy is designed to provide students with a clearly defined curriculum-based track to acquire essential knowledge and skills for success in business and leadership. Critical areas include identifying entrepreneurial characteristics, selecting a value position, and business model development. I'm Patrick Uran, head of school, inviting you to journey with us on the mountain. For more information, visit us at oakmountain.us. Discover your journey at OMA. Prepare, explore, and achieve.
Consider the Mobius strip. Take a strip of paper, twist it, connect the ends. This connection forms a continuous loop. Seamless, infinite. That's how your healthcare should be too. At Tanner Health, the Mobius is our symbol and our promise, representing our continuum of care and our commitment that the services you need will be here for you always. We're not just changing healthcare, we're redefining it. See more at tanner.org.
All right, welcome back to the Community Voice. We have Chief Michael Mansour, Villa Rica Police Chief. We're going to run out of time because I did want to ask him who his favorite city manager was, but we don't have time for that. You've got all these programs I mentioned at the beginning. Do you have a favorite? Citizens Academy, Ladies Self-Defense, Shop with the Cop? Which one really gets you most?
I enjoy all of them a lot, but I guess probably the Shop with the Cop and the seniors visits that we do, because we were doing Shop with the Cop for several years, and I love doing that, but we weren't doing anything for the seniors. So I came up with the idea that we're going to go and visit the seniors and give them a small gift or something like that, and that has just been so well received because a lot of these seniors don't get anybody to visit them, during the year. And so they're so excited to have somebody come and see them, and they'll invite you in and want to, make you some cookies or tea or whatever, but they're just so sweet. So we love doing that too. So I guess those are my favorite two things. Seeing those kids that would not have gotten much at all, if anything, and they get to get what they want, not what their mom or daddy wants them to get, what they want. That's really cool.
Yeah, and there's nothing worse for a kid not to get anything.
Oh,
of
yeah.
course, that's
yeah.
awful.
That's just not right.
That follows them their whole life, seems like.
Right.
Let me kind of jumping back and forth, because I interviewed Margaret Miller, Colonel Margaret Miller, regarding, you got here, ladies self-defense. As more of Metro comes this way, and what do you tell people, particularly women, but what do you tell people, and I had this when I went to a small store the other evening, the way Margaret describes it is always situational awareness. Keep your head on a swivel.
That's the biggest thing.
What do you tell people in terms of, let's keep crime down, be aware? What do you tell them?
Well, I teach at the university, as you know, and I have for 20 years. And I have, like this class I'm teaching this semester, I've got 22 students, and 21 of them are girls or ladies. And so I talk to them about being safe and being careful. And I talk about being aware of your surroundings and watch for things and read people. That's one of the things I've always done, is read people, because I have to gauge people to tell whether they're a threat to me, threat to my family, threat whatever. And everywhere I go, I watch people. And I've always been a people watcher. My daughter would go with me way back when she was young. We'd go to the mall. And my wife would be shopping, and my daughter and I would sit down in the atrium or whatever, and would watch people. And she'd say, "Daddy, tell me about those people." And I said, "Okay." I said, "They're together, but they're mad at each other." And Gabby said, "Well, how do you know that?" I said, "Well, they're walking close to one another, but not touching. They're not looking at each other. They're not conversing. So there may be an argument." And she said, "What do you think they're arguing about?" I said, "Well, he probably wanted to buy a new tool. She wanted to buy shoes, whatever, but they're not happy with each other." And I told her how important it is that you watch people, because if you watch people, you can usually tell if they're up to something. I also told her about how important it is that you look confident, whether you are or not. Act confident. Stand up straight when you walk. Look at people. Look at people's eyes, because those people will see you as not being scared of them. If you walk with your head down and you walk like you're kind of crunched up and things, you're not portraying confidence, and you look like a victim, and somebody's going to victimize you.
Josh, we want to go to 905 if we could, please. And that 2 points about that. One, when you're an elderly person, as your spine kind of gives in, and you start walking, small steps, and you're kind of hunched over sometimes. So elderly people, I assume, are more likely to be preyed upon.
Oh yeah, they will be preyed upon if especially if they're out late, or they're at, I don't let my wife go to the store by herself at night. I just ain't gonna do that. I try not to do that ever, especially certain stores, just because you just never know what's going to happen. And so part of it is don't put yourself in a position to be a victim. Mm-hmm. So don't go to the mall, at 10 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock. Don't go to, a store late at night. Don't be out running by yourself and not paying attention to people.
But isn't that weird? I mean, we've never really had to think about that out here in West Georgia until the last decade or so. I mean, it's just that this is the Metro Atlanta phenomenon. I was reading an article yesterday about how they spot terrorists in where people are going to do ill at airports, because it's like a multitude of signals. They're frozen looking straight ahead, or but you put all these signals together. It's
right.
Not just when that's what you do because you're a people watcher.
Yeah, I read people the whole time. I can usually tell if somebody's going to approach me. I can usually tell a lot of time what they're thinking and what they're going to say and things like that. And it's kind of funny, but a former city manager, I would tell him what certain council people were going to do. And he'd say, well, how do you know that? I said, if you watch them, I'll tell you exactly what they're going to do.
But most law enforcement officers are have that skill to a point, do they not?
To a point, yeah.
Because you walk up on a car, you don't know where that person's from, you don't have any idea, and you've got to read them instantaneously.
You got to do it quick,
Yeah. Huh. Is still the most dangerous call for law enforcement domestic violence?
More than likely it is. Most of the time it is, because oftentimes they know we're coming. And so it's gotten now where these bad guys, especially on domestics, when the wife's called the police, the officer will be walking into somebody with a gun because he knows we're coming, and they will ambush the officer. Before the officer ever gets out of the car, sometimes they will fire on the car.
I made a mistake. I wanted to start off talking about fentanyl, but we really didn't. So we only got a couple minutes left. What's the current state of affairs when it comes to fentanyl in Villa Rica?
Well, we definitely have found it. We've had several people that have overdosed that we've brought back with Narcan, and once in a while, sometimes you can't. We've had some people that we've used Narcan on 3 or 4 times, and we tell them, one time we're not going to be here, and they look right at you and said, I don't care, it's the best high I've ever had, da-da-da-da. So it's a scary drug. It's very dangerous. We try to explain that to people. We're having our fentanyl summit coming up again, so we want to invite everybody to that.
I think we lose on average about 23 people a year in Carroll County to fentanyl ODs. But if we didn't have this Narcan, it'd be probably twice.
It'd be triple that. I really believe it, because we have had so many saves. But yeah, we lose a lot.
Well, hopefully a different border policy will help with this.
We hope so, yes, sir.
All right, so I guess I did want to ask about that. Obviously, that's a huge thing. And the seminar is coming up, in March?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And that's been very successful. We've been doing that for 3 or 4 years?
I think we've done it 2.
Yeah, 2.
This one. Now, we used to do the meth summit, remember?
Oh, yeah, I remember
We did that a long time.
Yeah, at the church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay,
It
cool.
was big every year.
All right, so if someone wants to become a law enforcement officer in the great city of Villa Rica and the great county of Carroll, they just need to call you?
I wouldn't say that, but they need to go online and go ahead and fill out application online.
And then call you.
And then call me. Yeah, and then we'll talk to them and see what we can do.
All right. Well, our gratitude this morning to Villa Rica Chief Michael Mansour. You can hear him the first Tuesday of every month on KISS 102.7. I think it's 7:40, thereabouts.
Right about it. Yeah.
Right there.
A little after 8, I think.
Jessica Kay. She asks better questions than I do. So.
I don't know. You did good.
I did okay?
You did good.
I know you don't mind telling me when I don't. So
I will get you.
All right, it's been a good knowing you all these years. I mean, it's been a long time since
yes, sir.
You both of you and I have been doing this. It's a wonderful area to be situated in, and
I agree.
And we've both been real blessed to be so. With that said, we want to thank Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy for sponsoring the program. Go out and make it a great day. You're in tune to WLBB Carrollton.
Year singled out as a source of